Okay, so this is my second class. This is our second class for MySQL. Just a pretty recap what we actually did yesterday. We'll go through this pretty quick here. We were actually trying to, see this MySQL professional notes and trying to execute all this. So what we did in the first class, right, this is introduction, and we created database. Of course we are not able to create because we don't have access, but we use these commands. We created a table, we insert records in a table. You can insert any number of records, you just okay, and we just give it one simple example, but we can do a lot more things, but in the real time it happens automatically. You don't insert really, but something quick with something production issues or something like that, in that case it's very useful. Okay. And then we updated this. This doesn't help ID8. This guy is that's a joke. We created only with one row and is saying like the ID8, so it doesn't work like that. So we manipulated this and updated our record, and it did run successfully. And we deleted a record. Again, this is joke. Deleted a record in this row. Basically, we created columns, and the row we can insert how many we want, but ID is the primary key, so we use this one. And okay, so we are not able to do this. Show database worked well. Yeah, we did that. Show tables, yeah, that also worked very good. This thing is not working because we don't have administrative access. Create user, nah. You can try it out. You can try it out at the places where you have access, admin access, but in this scenario we don't, so we cannot do that right now at this point of time. And privileges, of course, grant, select is a different thing. We use select. Now I used to use a lot of select commands. Select is, I think this select command is very powerful tool, and I can use it as myself just to do many things, just using select. We don't even insert anything, update, we don't even do that, because I was a tester and I used to do a lot of testing. So alright, so grant all. If you are having this, again you need to have super admin to access grant. And we did created a table. This is not a very good idea to create a table name with the table, because this table is actually reserved table. So we did a mistake here, but by creating this table. But let's guess what, we will do this. So oops, we are logged out. Log in onto this and see. And we did a mistake by creating. Now guess what, I will be dropping this table so that we'll have some idea. Close the tab actually, on how to drop a table. Let's do this pretty quick here. I will use this drop command. Drop, and drop what? Table. I don't think it works that way, but we'll try it out. Just let's see here. I hope it works. $20 and want this. Yeah, syntax doesn't do it that way. Okay. Yeah, we are not able to drop this. Yeah, so drop command we don't we'll just go back to and see how did we delete this. See, delete should work. Should it have a similar as? Oh, Jesus Christ! We made a blunder mistake here. Okay, so drop. What? From table. Oops. Sorry. Hold on. No. So I don't think this job works. Actually, this is case sensitive. So let's use this. Right, it's working, right? So it only see, delete works only for records, but we want to drop. That's a problem. So what I'll do here is, so since we will go to here, just go to here, I'll just drop. You see here, the SQL is supposed to work actually. Just drop it. Yeah, see, this is the command which is supposed to work. Okay, great. Let's find out. You know what? We'll just use this command directly here. Let's see this if it works. Go to here and go to SQL. We want to execute this. This is a good. This is supposed to work now. It's saying that we want to table. Yes, and there you go. It's working. Oh, this table is not supposed to show up here. Guess what? We will just refresh it. We'll just refresh it and see if it exists. There you go. It doesn't exist anymore. So that's how the drop command works. Okay, drop. This guy didn't give that drop. Nevertheless, but that's how this drop command works. We'll go to next section pretty quick. We don't want to change, or we don't want to use a lot of time here. And okay, so this was a mistake by creating a table, because this is a reserved name table. You don't want to create a table which is a table. Okay, this is a reserved name. So what you want to do here is, you want to create a table name, something which is reasonable, which is not reserved. So these are the reserved names: table, database, user. All those are reserved names. So what you want to do here is, you want to create a table which is not used, like employee, employer, or the name of the company or something what you want to do, but not the reserved names. This will create a lot of troubles, because the database thinks that this is, you're accessing table rather than the table itself. So that's a really confusing part. So that's the reason. But we did work it out, this like operator, using the previous table that we created, my table. Okay, let's go to section 1.2. And wow, this is interesting. So I don't think this query will work, because this is pretty odd query, but nevertheless we'll just find out. What we are trying to do here is, so let's find out what we are trying to do. So we have to show all active and sleeping queries in order and how they have been long. So this query is pretty heavy here. We'll try to understand here. So we do have information underscore schema. Do we? Oh yeah, we do. You see this information, and from that there's, so see, here's the thing. This information, that schema is actually, you don't create this. This is created by system to make sure that everything is right. So you don't want to mess up with this information underscore schema. This contains lot of information. If you understand this metadata, that means data of data. That's how that's what it contains. The database of database. So it contains the information about the database. So you don't want to mess up with this. Okay, so be careful. If you mess up something here and it's gone. This is created by system to make sure you want to run on this. So that's the reason we use this information underscore schema. That process list, that means we are trying to access the table. That's very simple here. It's common sense, I guess. Process list. Let's see. Yeah, here you go. This is the table. Okay, so here is the thing. What we are trying to do, we are trying to access the table from this information underscore. This is a table name, order by descending order, time descending. Okay, so we want this information, whatever information in that table called process list. We don't need descending order, and we want to execute. Let's see if it works. Ooh, it is working. Great. So we successfully executed the SQL. Okay, we want this query every time, but this query gets screwed up. Okay. So here what you see here is, yes, there are process running here. So we are trying to see what are the process running. So yes, one user called Udemy underscore test is running on localhost 48860, and database name is information schema and client query. Okay, we are not consuming lot of things, so it's not good because we don't have access. They will those guys will revoke the access if you running a lot of things here. What we did, this is a query actually. So it contains information about the process list. That's good to know. Okay, that's good to know about this process list. So this is the default. So this is information underscore schema. I'm sorry, information underscore schema contains a lot more information than what actually you know. See here you have this table. This table has its own unique capabilities of storing that information, what we are trying to do. So there's the indexes, matrices, virtual keywords, partitions, and a lot more than if you can look at it. It's okay. It's okay to look into it, but it's not okay to manipulate it because this is created by system, and you don't want to mess up with system data, right? Because if you're working these queries won't work properly because it's kind of metadata, data of data. So it's trying to collect the data of data. So that's good. Let's go to move on to next one, which is more detail. Let's find out. This guy is saying that we are going to go more detail into this. So let's use this actually. This should be good. Let's see if this query runs. So I hope you understood this query, right? This query, what we're trying to do is select star means wildcard, of course, from the table name. Information underscore schema is a table name. How do you know? Here you see here, information underscore. Dot process list is actually table. Actually, I don't want to write such kind of queries, but of course, dot, if you put dot process list, that means you're accessing the table from that database. That's what it means by dot. Okay. Order by, that means if you want to order by descending, and the time by descending. Okay, great. It's not a big deal. Alright. So we want to get some more detailed information here and try to execute. Here we are trying to get the ID, user, host, database, commander, every damn thing. So what you want to do here is let's see if this thing works. It doesn't work, don't worry about it. I'm not worried. Oh, it's still working. So here it's still the same information we are getting, but real time we don't get. Real time has so many database running on parallel with a different server. So real time you'll be having plenty of information here, but here you are only having one because this is for tutorial, it's not for corporate environment, but it's for your understanding. Okay, so let's try to understand this query. Okay, Select ID user, how many users are accessing, what are their IDs of that user, host, what host means normally the IP address, DB, what database they're accessing in the command. So all this actually will be in this will be a column for that table. There you go. From the table called process list, order by, if you want to give it order by, and what the state to you can also get, and you want to do this. See, this is nothing. I'm sorry. This means how do you want to do the time? How many time it is taking? How many? See, this thing. I'm not really worried about time as such this point of time, because this gives actually the time, how much is time, unless it's a time critical issue. I would not worry about these two things, otherwise the rest is good. Okay, so that's how it is. And alright, so routines, wow, do we have routines? Let's find out. And once we finish this, we'll go to the next chapter pretty quick. Let's see here. Oh wow, first we want to know, so see here what we are trying to do here is we are trying to get the information from the, see, information underscore schema, you can see, oops, sorry, not this. These are the tables in the information underscore information underscore schema. These are the table. So you are now trying to access. Come on. Alright. So I will use this one. Routine. Routine. You don't have that table here. See here, routine. So I don't think this would work, because you don't have routine table here. Obviously, if you don't have table, that would work, but it doesn't show any record. Let's find out. Let's find out. This doesn't work because we don't have this table routine. PQR. Right? Let's try it. Let's go ahead. Yep. Oh wait, guess what, we'll just use this. We'll just remove this and run this now. Now we'll find out what is, we have a lot of things here. Wow, we didn't knew. And that's very interesting that you don't have table routine. Did you find any table routine? So we have second list. I didn't go to second list. We have a table. Ooh, that's very interesting. Okay, so we never went to this second table. So we do have this routine table. Okay, great. So see here, routine. Okay, so that's how we were able to get a lot of data here. Okay, so this is the data, and we used this guy tried to use this like operator and try to get it. But you know, you can also get like operator if you want. So here this gives a lot of information here. Okay, this gives what? Okay, great. These are the rows. Okay, these are the rows, and guess what? These are the columns. I'll try to, yeah, I can shorten up these things actually. These are the columns. You know, this column data type, what is it? There's a lot more columns here again. Numeric precision, numeric scale, DTD, routine body, a lot more than this. Okay, routine catalog, what is the collation connection, character set client, and all those stuff. So these are the columns. Okay, these are the rows. I mean, simply the horizontal sorry, the vertical are columns, the horizontal are the rows. So these are the rows. Def, you see this, these are the rows, okay, and the columns are which it's showing up. Your routine catalog, specific name, these are the columns. So we have lot stuff in this. That's good to know. That you can find out if you have any issues. You can find out through this. From this query. Actually this like operator this doesn't require, because routine definition, we have routine definition. Wait, what? Routine definition. Let's find out if we have this one. We have routine definition. This is not here. So we did never find this word thing. So that's the reason we did never got a record out there. So we will not worry about it. So we use like operator. We didn't use the like operator. So that's how we could get this. So this is good to know. This shows how many processes are running and all those things. Okay. So we'll go back. Okay. Great. So that's the end of this first chapter. And I hope you like it. So we'll move to the second chapter, and we'll try to find out more information in this. Okay. Yeah. So guess what? We will just continue with this. Actually, we have some time left. So second chapter is data types. First chapter was just kind of introduction. Yeah, just getting started to create. This was they have this drop table in chapter 27. How interesting! We did drop in the right first class. So we will not go, even if we complete all of this, it will be more of a redundant work. Okay, so here what we'll do here is 2 point. There is one. So introduction. The first class was the introduction to create a database, to create table, to insert values in a table, to delete it, to update a table, and to delete a table. So we did all those things. Sorry, data into the table, not table. Yeah, we can also update table too. Update table, but we did update data into the data in the table. Okay, that's what we did, and we show the tables, and this few of this don't work because we don't have access, so we will not worry on that. And also we worked on this to get the information. So that's what pretty much of the first chapter was, pretty much introduction. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with data types. Okay, so here so these are the functions. Now we are getting into real stuff here. Okay, now char is a function here. Okay, and okay, so this is what we are trying to do is character set ASCII, and okay, this is just an introduction to how to understand. So here you can set your date to YYYYMMDD format. So these are the functions. So here, okay, I hope there will be a query for this. Without query, it's I don't really try to explain something without query, because you want to see that, right? If you don't see it, you don't understand it. As simple as that. So okay, so it's date is the functions here. Date time is a function. Timestamp is a function here. Okay, now we get it. Here, what the point is, if you are using date function, date time function, then you have to use the format of YYYYMMDD HHMMSS. That means year, month, date, hour, minutes, and seconds. So this is an example here. Okay, great. So this is how these are the functions. Okay, date, date time, timestamp, year, and I'm supposed to give an example for this. I hope these guys have example. Too bad. There is no example here, but actually there's a problem here, right? If this guys didn't provided an example, so if you use an example, I will pretty much understand. Let's try this. Okay, let's select no date is. Do we have this? No, we don't have this. So we don't have this one, so we cannot. There is no table called date time, so yeah, there's nothing called table. So okay, there is no example unfortunately, but these are the functions. Okay, you want to know these functions: date, the date time, timestamp, year, time. So whenever you are using in your query, make sure you use this. Okay, use that function and use this in quotes. Okay, so this quotes ranges from this one. So I mean, this is theoretical type. We'll just skip this one because no query, you don't really get those things unless you have this query thing. Okay. Next we have this. We'll go to the next pretty quick here. Yes, it is int. This int means integer. Integer is a function. Okay, and these guys, oh, too bad. Okay, so there are other functions too, like float, double, decimal, enum, all those things. No example. That's too bad. Strings, you can use strings such as character, text, etc. Binary, date, time. Okay, we know this. Enum, spatial. So these are the functions. JSON type. Now functions are something which you use inside the SQL whenever you are writing a query. Okay, so we'll skip that one because functions, if you want to know it, you have to go ahead and read this document. But for me, if I have to know it something, I want to execute it because I have to see what is mistake in that, right? Sometimes they just use this function and it doesn't work, right? You have seen so many times, right? It doesn't work because just because it's something worked for them doesn't mean that it worked for me. Oh, they have this blob. See, this is binary and blob. There is something called blob and clob. B-L-O-B, C-L-O-B. B-L-O-B, B means binary, large object. Okay, C means character, large object. Now guess what? These kind of things are used when you are storing things like images. You want to store images, right? This large, huge amount of data there. You have to, images are also data, right? You have to store that. So that can use blob, clob. This guy didn't told about clob. Character, large object, and blob is binary, large object. Okay, great. Unfortunately, no example, so we'll skip here. Alright, well, let's move to section. Guess what? We'll just finish the second chapter today and we'll go for the third chapter. Okay, great, we have some time here. Okay, now first chapter was introduction, second chapter is we are working on data type. Okay, and most of these is functions actually. Functions like date, date time, timestamp, and no example of usage, so sorry about that. Okay, but nevertheless we still have some of this. Okay, we'll go to the section 2.6 here, implicit and automatic casting. Now let's see here. Oh, here you go. There's some query here. We'll see what is this query. So what this query says, see the what is this, right? Oops, sorry. Let's try to see here. See here, what they're trying to do is you don't require this. We don't see for this. You don't require a database to execute this query. And what you're trying to do is select the quotes is actually the string, multiplied. Here the star means we talk about this star as a wildcard. Here we are using multiplication factor. The reason, right, because we are not using any tables, remember from where, classes, all those things we are not using here. What you're trying to use here is select 1 2 3 string into 2. Now that means you are multiplying here. That means the result will be 2 4 6. Let's find out. Let's find out. 2 4 8. Oh, sorry, 2 3s of 6. My bad, my calculation is wrong. Okay, 2 4 6. Here you go. 2 4 6. Now you don't need a table to run this query. Now this is a joke. I mean, this is a calculator. You can use this calculator here. Let me show you what. I'll show you the calculator. It functions same as calculator. Okay. Now 1 2 3 into 2. Oh, 246. That's what we did here. So you can use SQL as a calculator. Oh, that's good to know, right? You can use any, as a matter of fact, you can do calculations in SQL like this. You don't need a table for that. Okay, unless you want to put that values in the table, that's a long story. But okay, here is a more complex thing here. Now, since we talk about we talked that this is a string, so what we'll do, we'll use a little more complex situation here. Select 1 2 3 ABC. Now the system doesn't recognize this ABC, so that ignores ABC. So let's see what happens. I don't know what happens. Let's find out. Let's go to here. Still 246. Now this is it's ignoring ABC. That means it doesn't know what is ABC. That's not a number. You are supposed to put a number. Now let's go to the next. 246. That's right. Now what happens is if you put the ABC and the beginning, that's so very interesting, because now what happens in this sequence, let's find out. Showing a 0. That means it's not trying, it doesn't recognize the string. It's trying to, it's supposed to be a number. Okay, it's supposed to be a number, and it's taking as a it's taking some junk value and multiplying it and getting it as a 0. Okay, it's not taking as ABC as something, and it's supposed to, at least I don't know, if I would have been computer, maybe I would have at least recognized this 1 2 3 and get that value, but it's right away giving a 0. Okay, great, good to know. Okay, that was about calculating. It's implicit and automatic casting, and this is, I mean, you can do this calculate in the calculator itself. You don't need a SQL, but here you need it. Why? Because when you're trying to write some complex query, you want to use this thing. Okay, so be careful of using the star. Previously I told you that it is a wildcard, but here we are using as a multiplication factor. Okay, the way you use it is it depends. Okay, if you are using after the select star from from table, now that means a wildcard. Now here we are using star as multiplication factor. Okay, be careful when and where and how you are using these star things. Okay, not just star things, everything, because that will show a different result or different error for different things. So be cautious on that. Okay, so okay, we finished. So that was, okay, end of the section. Let's go to next section, integer value. Well, this is this guy didn't give any SQL here, too bad. Okay, you have this tiny int which you can store, and it has some minimum value and maximum value, and small int is integer, sorry, int means integer. Tiny int means storage as 1 byte, which lasts from 27 to 128. Minimum value signed and maximum value signed. Maximum value unsigned is okay. And small integer, medium integer, integer, and big integer. Now, this big integer is pretty big. Now the question is, why do we need this? You need this when you are working, when you're trying to assign some variable in the store procedures. And that's a good point. Store procedure, and you're running a SQL which is which requires some variables and assigning in variables, and you want to declare some variables. In that case, you want to use this integers. Integers are basic, and this is what, right? Here's the thing. You want to assign some variable and multiply in that and put into that particular memory. It's kind of, you're utilizing memory and use it in your SQL, so that it acts as a programming language. So SQL is also programming language. You can program a lot more things. So that's the usage of this integer. Alright, there's a problem. There's no SQL on that. It's too bad. No, so you can go ahead and read it. So let's go to the next one pretty quick. 2.9 fixed point types. Fixed point types. Okay, we have decimal and numeric, and the decimal and represents, wow. Okay, so these values are stored in binary format. Okay. So you have this two fixed point types. So this is a theoretical point of view, but of course you want to use it whenever whenever you are using into the SQL. Okay, that's a bad type. Is no example for this. Too bad. Okay, so the two things, decimal and numeric. Okay, these two types to store the exact numeric data values. You can use it. We'll see in this next chapters, if they have given some example. They're supposed to give some example to usage of this, because if you don't know how to use it, the point of theory is doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this is how it represents. So it represents 5 represents the precision of 2 represents the scale. For example, the data can be stored as -999.99299. Okay, good to know. Okay, oops. Let's go to section 2.10, floating point types. Okay, so we have this integers. There are a lot more integers. We talk about tiny integer, small integer, medium integer, integer, and big integer. Now you have this float and double. Okay, float means you use, this is for programming actually. Whenever you are using this programming, float double, storage 4 bytes, and it stores this much of, and the range is 10 to the power of plus or minus 38. These are actually storing of data actually, the way you store it, but otherwise, so whenever you are trying to program and you want to store some data, that's what you are going to use this. And you want to store in, see, here is the thing. you, you want to store some data, right? But you're not storing here directly. You are creating a variable and dumping the data into that variable and storing it. So that's the whole point of this, actually, integers and float and double. Okay. The reason, because you can use that variable into your programming, and you can utilize that, and if it gets incremented or decremented or some other values or string values, and that's what you can use in your in the stored procedure. So it's basically about stored procedure in the SQL. Okay. No example. So here next section is bit value type. So here bit value is 1 to 64. Okay. And okay, so now it allows you to store the bit fields, okay, to 1 to 64. Okay, so guess this should be the end of this. Yeah, so that's it. Chapter 2 is more on the data types. Okay, and the data types, okay, let's recap it, because we don't have SQL for this, so we'll just recap it pretty quick here. Data types, we have char means character, and it's used, you can use, and you have to use, that's what we use when we create a table. Remember, we use var character, variable character, and this denotes the inside the how much variable character you can store, right? And then we talk about date time, timestamp, year, and time. Now there is no example for this. Moving forward, if we find an example, that would be very helpful for all of us, for me, for you, and for everyone, because without an example, this is only this, we know it already, right? The date time is already there. Even if it's a new function or something, it's already there. So we want to know how to use it, where to use it, and how you can manipulate it. That's the whole point of this tutorial, actually. So now the big deal. So these are the functions: date time, timestamp, year, time, and next we talked about var. There is variable character, that's var. And then we talk about this integers. You can do as an auto increment. Remember auto increment, when we created it, we did it auto increment. If you go to my previous class, right, in the first class, you see that auto increment is there, so you can use that. So we used as int, and we didn't use big int, we don't want that big one. So, and then we discussed about this calculation part. We can do calculator in SQL. Not a big deal. Use SQL as a calculator if you want. If you don't know big calculation, use it as, just use select command, and guess what? We'll use far more better than SQL than this. See, here's the thing, I'll give you better SQL than this. Select star, okay, is I'm using this keyword. This keyword is so bad. Okay, now let's see what happens. This is a better SQL than yeah, so the SQL got executed. Good. So did you see the difference? So here the column name called as calc. So what I said is I gave as is aliasing. Okay, this is not discussed here, so don't worry about it. So here, as I'm using as aliasing, as putting as calc, whatever I put here, you know, I'll just put my name. It's no big deal. No, I'll just put my Manu. Yeah, I'll show the column name as Manu. See here. So as if there's no database or something, we are just trying to create just a virtual thing which is to calculate our value, just 1 2 3 into 2, and as Manu, this I'm giving this table as, so that's no use of aliasing. This guy didn't give that. Okay, good. Don't worry about it, it's not important. But unless if you want to look good and say so, you want to use that one. So okay, so we talk about this thing is working for 1 2 3 ABC, and this ABC is taking as junk and it's not ignoring it and only calculating 1 2 3. So that's the reason we get the answer is 246. Then ABC is staying as junk, so whole thing is staying as a junk, so anything staying as 0. Instead of giving error, it's just saying as 0. So it's at least supposed to work with the 3. I wonder if we can use, let's try one example here. What happens when you're using, I don't think we are trying just experiment here. So let's see what happens here. Does this work, or does this even work? Oh, it did. So what happened is we did multiplied 1 2 3 into 1 2 3 into 2. Okay, I hope the answer is correct. I'll use calculator for that and try to see if that is correct. 1 2 3 into 1 2 3 into 2. Oh wow, that was precisely correct. What we did, 30258. Good. So now that's not the point here. So if we try to multiply this with ABC, so what happens? So this kind of experiments you have to do. So 0. So anything multiplied with this ABC, it will give 0. Too bad. And if we give this here, still it gives 0. Ah, how interesting. The reason, because this is not even considering, not even bothering about it. And if we remove this, what happens? Let's see. Now it doesn't make any difference. Yeah. So this is how you can work without a calculator in SQL. Okay. So next we talked about this numeric. We have this integer types, tiny int, small int, medium int, which assign values are this, and int storage byte 4 bytes, big int 8 bytes. That means it contains this much value. Maximum is this much. Maximum unsigned is this much. Then fixed point types, we have 2, decimal and numeric. Okay, this is fixed point types, same numeric data types to use. Alright, and we can use expression. Okay, we are not worried about expression about minus 999.299.99. Great. Then we have this 2 point types, that is float and double. This is used for storage, whichever you want to storage, and this would have been much better if, for example, this is theoretical point is really it doesn't make sense, for anyone. It's because if you're just saying that, you have to use it practically how you utilize that cell. But you can see this one. Then we have this bit value type. Okay, and so that's it. So that's all about the second chapter. We'll go to the third chapter in the next class. I hope this has some I don't think we have a lot of SQL here, but we have to handle with theoretical part. But yeah, it's good to know. we have good to know about various okay, we also talk about this blob and clob, which is this guy didn't talk about clob. With blob means binary large object. Clob, there's supposed to be clob too, it's right here, clob. This means character large object. Okay, so this does not show up here. Okay, so those are the functions. Basically, whenever you are trying to work on it, you use those things. Okay, that's pretty much about second class. Sorry about that. There's no SQL for these functions. Moving forward, if we have see if you in stored procedure, if we find out, we could better use, but we use this we use it in creating table, remember. So some of them we used it, but we didn't use for float and double. That's if we come across this kind of these kind of functions, we will be using that one, so we have to remember that. Okay, so those are the basically. Okay, so we'll start third chapter in the next class, and thank you, and hope you like this video. Thanks.